welcome back. We will discuss what is happening in DeFi, what's going on. We will explore together why DeFi is a paradigm shift in the financial industry as we know it today. Alright guys, and welcome back at ON-DeFi. We're gonna do a quick alpha leak today, so stay tuned. We're gonna talk at a high level about what automated market pools are. I have a couple of DeFi hacks for you, like Matcha, Uniswap ROI, Pido, and Badger Finance. We're gonna take a quick look at the market. We're gonna take a quick look at what's going on in decentralized finance and DeFi today. And yeah, I'm pumped. I'm very excited to talk with you about this. And yeah, like recently, if we look into what's going on with DeFi nowadays, it's like we see that, in my opinion, DeFi is evolving to a more mature level, right? So what I see is that real-world assets and decentralized finance are becoming more and more real. We can see that with projects like Centrifuge, Crescofin, and many more that are building the bridge between real-world assets and DeFi. In order to be ready for this change that is coming to the world of finance and basically to the world, anybody that is an economic actor, it's important to understand the concept of automated market makers. Before we get started, I would like to tell you that I have a course at the Ivan on Tech Academy where I teach you anything that you need to know about decentralized finance. I produce two courses, DeFi 101 and DeFi 201, where I go in depth into the topics of what is the decentralized financial stack, what are automated market makers, how to use these protocols, how to program your own flash loan, how to do arbitrage, and much, much more. So I would really, really recommend you to go in the links below to the Ivan Tech Academy to do the DeFi 101 or 201 course if you want to learn more. All right, so let's get started, right? So if you look at the market, we can see that we're around 15 billion. It's for me amazing. Like, I mean, I've been in DeFi for ever they call it DeFi. It's basically, in my opinion, just evolved version of token economics, and it grew a lot, right? So we see that still MakerDAO is number one, and then we have Wrapped BTC, the Compound, Aave, etc., etc., etc. So this DeFi Pulse is, if you're not familiar with it, is a website where you can actually see all the different decentralized financial protocols listed in terms of their total value locked in their protocols. And yeah, and again, if you want to learn more about all these protocols, go to the DeFi course. Today, we're going to focus on a concept called automated market makers. I'm going to skip over the basics of automated market makers, but if you want to learn, Bankless has some amazing articles and actual exercises that teach you all the basics that you need to know about what automated market makers are. Or you can do my course. If you just want to read the basics fast, go to this article about Bankless that talks about the rise of liquidity robots, and here also how to bank with balancer liquidity mining and much more articles like that. Before we get started, I want to note that it's important for you to be sure to check either gas station before you're making any big transactions, so that you're not like overpaying for your gas. And if the gas is too high, just wait a bit and then publish your transaction later. Later in this video, I'll also show you a hack on how to actually swap your tokens without paying a gas fee. You can place a limit order, and then the person that's buying your tokens in that case is paying the gas for you. But before we get started, let's take a quick look at what a automated market pool actually is, right? The first and most basic version of an automated market pool is on Uniswap. Why would a person actually use a automated market pool? Well, in traditional finance, we have money market funds and market makers. A lot of like CeFi, a lot of like Balancer and Kraken, they have a lot of like market makers that provide liquidity to hold up the market, so that when the price drops a little bit, or when the order books are not like too thin, right? And automated market pools actually make that so that you, as a user, can use different pools, and you can swap different tokens, and there's enough liquidity on the decentralized market because people are actually incentivized to provide their liquidity and are getting a part of the trading fee. This concept took a while to take off. Like, Uniswap is quite an old protocol, but recently with the whole DeFi hype, and when people actually figured out, like, wait a minute, this is really cool, I can provide my assets and make a little bit of a fee over them, and they started piling into that. And we can see that as well here, right? So Uniswap has around 1.6 billion liquidity and a volume of more than $250 million in this day. There's also peaks, as you can see here, and these have other reasons that I'm not going to go into right now in this video, but you can ask me in the comments below if you really want to know. But mostly these were hacks. But we can see here that there's quite a constant volume on Uniswap, and that is because people are actually locking up liquidity, putting this in the market, and making sure that when people are buying or selling ETH against DAI or against USDC, that there's enough liquidity. And, you know, as a person that provides liquidity, you earn a fee. But you need to watch out for impermanent loss, because if a token goes up too much or goes down too much, you need to actually hedge yourself against impermanent loss. At DeFi Capital, where I'm working, we're hedging ourselves with options where if a asset goes up too much or goes down too much, we make sure that we cover the impermanent loss by having options, so that if you have big AMM pools, that we are not suffering from the impermanent loss, which can be sometimes 10-20% if you don't watch out for like very volatile assets. But it can also be quite profitable to do this, which I'll show you in a minute. Again, if you want to learn more in depth, the depth techniques and everything about AMMs, you can go in the description below. But I'm going to move forward quickly to a concept called Balancer. So you have Uniswap, and this is the first version of the automated market pool. Besides Uniswap, you also have a product called Balancer, where you can also swap your tokens, right? There's also a lot of pools where you can put it into. The difference between Balancer and Uniswap is you can see there's different swap fees, where in Uniswap there's basically a standard fee for every pool of 0.3%, and you can only have 2 tokens. In Balancer, as you see, you can have up to 8 tokens, and these 8 tokens you can actually set your own fee. This fee mechanism, it's super smart, so the higher the fee mechanism in a pool, the longer it waits to swap. Because if there's a higher fee, the people that are actually making the traders, they will not use that pool because the fee is pretty high. But if there is really a liquidity shortage in the market, they also will use the pools with a higher fee. If you stake your assets with a pool with a higher fee, you will get higher fees, but you have the issue if the price indeed again spikes up too much or down too much. There is issues where you're selling at the wrong time, where you again suffer impermanent loss. And there's a lot of in-depth articles written about that, which I will link in the description below. And there's also more information how to like hedge yourself against these issues, right? So as a basic, we have Uniswap AMM pools, we have Balancer AMM pools, and yeah, there's now many more coming up because all these protocols are just open source. So yeah, as explained, we have automated market pools. As we can see, let me remove this a little bit here. All right, there we go. So you can see we have automated market pools. There you can see here, right? So Balancer has much more pools, and there's actually a lot of people that are building their own AMM protocols. We have now Uniswap, we have SushiSwap that try to do an attack on Uniswap, and more. It's a very, very cool story about that. And there's a lot of other protocols that are being built, and people are just using the open source AMM pools for what they can be best used for. And they are changing them for the needs that they have in the protocol, and like offering this to people. And you have also projects like ON-Inch or Matcha, where they actually give you a aggregation of all these different AMM pools and all these different decentralized exchanges. They plug into all these decentralized exchanges, and you're able to actually, you're able to actually make your orders in a decentralized way. You can place them in you can place a limit order, you can put it in the books, and then people that want to buy your assets, if the demand for the asset goes up, you sell your assets automatically. And if you want to buy the assets, you can also place a limit buy order as well when the price drops to a point where you're like, I really want to buy it at that price. So I will show this a little bit. So Matcha is a project by 0x, and we also have ON-Inch. And ON-Inch is a project by the ON-Inch team itself, and they also built Uniswap as well. And with ON-Inch and with Matcha, you're able both to do limit orders. As you can see here, I can swap DAI to Curve or whatever assets that I want to pick, right? I can pick an asset. I can then actually say I want to have maximum return, I want to have lowest gas fees. I'm able to place limit orders. And what I really like about the new ON-Inch interface is that if I go to, let's say, ETH, and I'm gonna do a weird option here. Yeah, you can see here what's happening under the hood. So there's actually a lot of things happening under the hood. If I want to do this weird base asset that doesn't have that much liquidity, it actually first has to wrap my ETH and wrapped ETH. Then it will actually swap it between Uniswap and Sake swap, or whatever that is. Like, there's probably another protocol, and we can do this with different assets. So we can actually find the routes that are taken if we do this. Let's look at Aave. How does Aave do this? So there's 25% going via Aave itself, via Kyber protocol, and there's 75% going to wrapped ETH via Balancer, Sushi, and Uniswap as well. And this is very interesting to see. In Matcha, there is a little bit of a cleaner interface. You get a little bit less feedback, but it is also very clean. What I do like about Matcha is the way they displayed the order book depth. So what you can actually see here is that you see in the order book depth, you can actually see here, you can see that there's a percentage Uniswap, SushiSwap, Uniswap, Kyber, Balancer, and 0x. So this means that the order book bands are getting thicker. So this means people that are actually providing liquidity to the market make the market overall more stable, more healthy, and less volatile. So you're providing a service to the crypto community, and you're providing a service to yourself by making the market more stable and liquid for people that want to trade the assets underlying these amazing new decentralized financial markets, right? So this is really cool. And what you can actually do, you just place an asset here. So let's say it's you want to sell 1 ETH. In this case, it's 588 DAI. You review. Let me connect actually here for a little bit. It's my test account. Connected. And okay, in this case, I need to approve it. But after you approve it, if you approve your wrapped ETH and you can exchange for DAI, you only have to place the order, and then it will automatically be picked up. So you only have to, the maker, the one that buys it, pays the fee of the transaction itself. That is really cool. That's a really cool thing. The same thing you can actually do on ON-Inch as well. As I said, like ON-Inch has a little bit of a more in-depth interface, which I personally like. But maybe you want to have a more simple interface at Matcha. There's a lot of options for anybody that wants to trade. All right, so this was like a very high-level overview of like the different pools. We also have, now I'm already talking about ON-Inch, we have Uniswap. And Uniswap is also a protocol by ON-Inch. There's an article about Uniswap right here, and it explains like why do we need a new AMM pool. What is the difference between the AMM pool for Uniswap and Uniswap? I have an interview with the founder of ON-Inch, and he's explaining in depth about the difference between Uniswap, Uniswap, and much more about how ON-Inch works and their new interface that is now out. And the cool thing about Uniswap is, in my opinion, that they have less impermanent loss risk than the other protocols. It still doesn't have that much liquidity. So what they're actually doing now to bootstrap this liquidity is to having a yield farming program where when you provide certain assets to Uniswap, you are actually getting provided the ON-Inch token once they come live. So when you provide liquidity to Uniswap, once ON-Inch releases their token, you will be able to actually you will get that token sent to your address where you provided liquidity with. So I would recommend you guys look into this, and definitely, if you have some assets laying around that are just in cold storage, be sure to try this out. All right. So this is all cool, right? But what is the actual return on these assets? Well, there's a very cool website, Uniswap ROI, where you can actually check all the different return on investment metrics right here. And yeah, that's all very, very, very nice. And I would recommend you go there by yourself. Yeah, also Curve is also a automated market pool, but then for stablecoins. So I really also recommend you to watch it out. And we have PyDAO, of course. It's more of like a you mint indexes, right? And it like also automatically balances with smart balancer pools. So also really check out PyDAO as well. And one last very quick alpha leaks before I need to shut off this recording, because I have a meeting coming up, is Badger. And Badger actually did an airdrop. So you need to be fast. And you need to be fast to claim your Badger hunt. If you're actually on this list, this is a list that I made, and you can actually see all the addresses that were entitled for this Badger airdrop. If you're in this list, be sure to go to badgerfinance.com/hunt and claim your free hunt tokens. I also got some. I sold it for some need, to be honest. And yeah, thank you very much. It's a nice airdrop. It's nice to see that these kind of protocols are trying to be creative to, get new users and try to really make themselves known by doing these actions. It's good for the community, and it's nice. It's motivating for people to actually start using these new decentralized financial protocols, because you're actually getting paid to do it. So go over to the links below, try these protocols out yourself, and be sure to check it out. And if there's any questions or new alpha leaks that you want me to cover, then leave it in the comments below, and I will take a look at that. Thank you very much, guys, and I will see you in the next ON-DeFi video. Thank you, and have a great weekend. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.